Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, May 17th, and this is Draftbit Office Hours. I'm Dave, and with me is Rahul, our lead success engineer, and we're going to hang out for a little bit, see what's going on, talk to you guys. Um, looks like it looks like it's just us right now, dude. So Rashid has registered, but he's not here yet. Maybe he'll show up later. Hopefully he got past his like multi-step sign up thing. If not, we can help him out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had another question on the community.
Oh, did he?
Uh, yeah, but I think Amit already answered that as well, so we're good there.
Awesome.
But
Good job,
if you
Amit.
have, yep, definitely. And if he has any follow-up questions, we are happy to answer those here as well. Um,
Awesome. Well, I know you were going to demonstrate swiper, something about the swiper, if you want, or I could show off like maps or something too, or we could do both, one or the other, either way.
yeah, basically, so what we kind of did, and which works for both maps and Swiper, is now we let you enter the data dynamically from your lists from your backend. Like before, we had to do this through custom code, but now, thanks to our engineering team, we can do it without code. And Dave has spent a lot of time doing this for maps. And Dave, if you want to show off those beautiful apps that you've made, I think this is like a good time. And
Sure, I definitely could. Yeah. So like on that on the thing you're talking about passing data now, like a is that like the same way you would pass data to a list component?
uh, somewhat similar. So now these components they have a field in which they ask you for what data you want to swipe over, and I will show that to you when I do a demo for it.
Okay,
And
cool.
as usual, I want to do it live, so let's see what happens.
Awesome. Well, I don't mind going first unless you got something queued up right now.
No, go
Give me,
ahead. I'd love
okay.
to see those.
All right, give me a sec. Let me load this up. I'll kind of just like give an overview, I guess. Like I'm not really gonna, it's already all set up, so I'll just like show everybody kind of how it's set up. Let's see here. This window. Okay, can you see my screen? Oh, I can't hear Rahul. Hold on. Oh, you're off. Your mic is red. Hey, Amit, can you turn your mic back on? Hmm. Okay. Well, while we see if Rahul can get that worked out, I'm gonna assume that when I share my screen, you guys can see it. Hopefully, that's true. All right. So we just introduced some map components, three new components. That would be the map view, which is right here, and the map marker, and the map callout. So map view is just a view of a map. So this is your parent component. This is the first thing that you'll put on your screen. And if I come over here to the jobs map, we can take a look, see what that looks like. Right here, you can see I've got the map view, which is basically just filling up the entire screen here. And then our map markers are how we place the pins on our map. And then a map callout is what happens when you tap on one of these. You can see we get this little pop-up here. This would be your call out, and the call out is basically just a container, like an empty view that you can put stuff into. So here I've just got a view and a couple pieces of text, but you can also put an icon in there. You can put images, although images don't show up on Android, so that is a caveat. Let me pause for a second and check in with Rahul.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Sorry
Man,
about
that
that.
sucks. Your new earbuds, like, seems like that's the culprit, huh?
Yeah, like these ones died, so I had to like replace it.
Oh, they died. Okay, so I'm gonna switch back. Okay. So as I was saying, map view, that's the parent container. Map markers go inside a map view, and map callouts go inside map markers. And the map marker and callout obviously are optional. If you want to place a marker, you do need a marker, but you don't have to put a callout underneath. The map marker also has a setting here where you can pass a title and a description to it. So if you don't need anything like customized inside your marker, when you tap on it, you can just use pass like a simple title and description, and it'll fit it in like a little default call out. So anyway, on this screen, I've got a fetch, and my fetch is getting a list of places. It's actually like rental properties here. I'm using example-data.draftbit.com to get these. You can see here properties. And these records all contain a latitude and longitude attribute. So inside my fetch, I've got my map. And just like when you put a list inside a fetch, we've got a field here for markers data, and I'm just going to pass the top level response from my fetch to the marker data, just like you would pass an object array to a list component. And what it'll do is if this has something in it, then it will basically loop over all the items in your array and pop a marker on the map for each one. So like since our locations have latitude and longitude, I can just grab our latitude and longitude off. Actually, it looks like I'm not even doing that here. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Hold on, let me take a look at that. Screen variable latitude and longitude. I don't think something. Rahul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, something seems weird. I don't remember setting it like this. Have you had some issues where when you set a variable, like you come back and it's not, or like, okay, sometimes when I fetch an array of data and I pull it up
Hmm.
like this to like grab the item, like I should have item here, right?
Right. Can you go up? Is it hiding some of these things? No, it's not. Usually what happens, so it says that it's hiding one of the details.
Yeah, but this is all here. So like, okay, this has
Mhm.
happened to me a couple times lately where it'll be there when I first populate the list or whatever with the top level response. Then it'll have
Mhm.
like item here, you know, the item
Mhm.
and then all the item fields. But then like I come
Right.
back and it doesn't have them. Have you seen that?
Uh, I I haven't personally seen it myself, but I haven't played around with maps that much. But
Okay. Well,
I
it's happened with me with the list too. Sorry, this is a tangent, but I just
oh
noticed that. So like, let me see. Oh, okay. I see what I'm doing now. But like that, this is confusing. Like I should still have the list, right? The list item. Let me take a look.
So George is
Uh,
saying that there is no list component, so I'm not sure you should see item values in the dropdown. You only
I
have a fetch component.
swear I saw it. I swear I did. Maybe I didn't.
Uh,
Uh, okay. Yeah, I did it here too. So, all right. Yeah, I guess I just didn't remember that I had to do that. All right. So what I did was on the fetch, then I'm extracting the latitude and longitude. Let's go
mhm.
back to this jobs map. On the fetch, extracting latitude, longitude, setting variable to latitude and longitude. See, that doesn't make sense though, right? Because I'm going over every. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the first record from my list and I'm populating the map's initial position using the very first item in the list. That's what this is. Okay, so when
Gotcha.
I come to map view, I should have, when I set my top level response, I should be able to click here and I should have item, but
Uh,
it's like switched it. It switched it to, because this is, oh, this is my map. Okay, sorry. I was looking at the wrong damn thing. There it is. Sorry.
there we go.
Yeah, okay. So on map, I'm getting, okay, so when I, sorry y'all, it's early. Um,
That's
so on fetch, I'm grabbing the first record out of all those records that I get, right? And I'm
mhm.
using that latitude and longitude to center my map, like its initial position.
Gotcha.
So I'm passing that latitude and longitude here to my map's initial so that it centers basically like around whatever the first location is, right? Otherwise,
Mhm.
um, it could be anywhere. So, and then for each map marker, back to where we were, I'm going into each item, I'm grabbing the latitude, passing that latitude to the marker's latitude. Same thing with the longitude, passing that here, and then that will populate each one on the map. Sorry, y'all, that was confusing. I know, like that whole thing.
Uh, yeah, this is something new that we just added to Draftbit, right? So um, there might be a little bit confusion, but like overall, it makes everyone's life easier, right, Dave?
Yes, it does. And I just forgot what I did. Like I've been doing so much lately, like I just completely forgot that I had done that where I picked the first uh, item out of the list and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
anyway, okay, so we've got a full screen version. Then like here, I just have two different views. They're both set to flex one, so they like split the screen. The bottom is a list of all the locations, and you can see it goes to each one as we click.
Oh, that's cool. So this is where you're doing that recenter thing again. So whenever you click on it, you recenter it to the coordinates that you get from this list
Yeah,
item.
yeah. Let me show you. So when you, so the list has the top level response, which is the locations, and then the touchable updates the map location to the latitude and longitude of the current item, right? So whatever this one is or whatever this one is, it passes its
Mhm.
latitude and longitude, and that this new action right here updates the map location to whatever latitude and longitude you set it to, and you can also set
Mhm.
a zoom. So we do that, and then I set a variable that's current property to the actual list item, and then I use a function that just returns whether the property is equal to the current property, and that's how I conditionally change the color of these items.
Cool.
So the touchable has a conditional display if the list item is or isn't, the current property.
Uh,
Uh,
so
Go ahead.
Dave is kind of sharing his screen, so I'm just like communicating the messages that George has been writing here, because
Sure.
Dave probably can't see them.
No, I can't.
Uh, so basically, that's what George was saying, that the map view is acting like a list. So it's a good point you're raising. So with the point that you raised about, not being able to see those list items and that. So George said that, yeah, it's a good point
Cool.
about that. So just want to communicate that.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Rahul. Okay, and then I've got another page here. It's just like a single instance of a map. So I'm not like using a list here. Let me find the map. So I've got a map view, and it's set the original. I've got the, let's see, I'm grabbing the data somewhere. Forgive me. Okay, so on my screen, on screen focus, I'm grabbing a place. I'm setting a latitude and longitude variable. I'm getting latitude and longitude variable, setting them, and then passing those to the map view as the initial latitude and longitude. And then for the map marker, same thing. So basically we have to tell the map where to look, and we tell the pin or the marker where to be. So like you have to make sure those two are in sync, right? Like, because theoretically you could load this map pin in one location and have the map like centered around some other location. So in this case, we want to pass the same latitude and longitude to each one so that they're matched up together. And that's basically it. So lots of more info in the tutorial and like announcement and all that stuff.
Uh, that was an awesome demo, Dave. And I feel like we have some more people here. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the ask a question section. And we have a lot of members here. We have George here, we have Amit here. So we would love to answer those for you as well.
Definitely. Rashid, I'm interested to know if you got past your multi-step sign up. So, okay, great. Rashid says he did. He looks like maybe he has a question about importing custom components. Throw it in the ask a question if you can, and so we can keep track. Okay, cool. He's gonna do that. I'm gonna read what George said. Cool, George. I appreciate that. We can chat about it later if you want. It was I think like the thing that was confusing me is like a little bit of a paradigm shift, right? Like I'm used to how there's like a certain flow that you get from a list, right? And in my mind, like this is basically acting as a list. So I was kind of like had an expectation. Hey Ray, how's it going? Oh, Ray left. He was here. Rashid, since there's nobody else here, if you'd rather just hop up and talk to us about it rather than trying to like write it all out, that's cool with me. Just let me know.
Yep.
Can we get the story behind the t-shirt? This t-shirt, my friend has a company up in Oregon where he makes THC extracts, and this is a shirt. That's this company, Funk Extracts. So yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can invite Rashid up.
Okay.
Hey guys,
Hey.
hopefully you guys can hear me now.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, yeah. So basically, what I was gonna ask was, well, like over the weekend, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I was kind of learning about the whole React thing, just kind of getting like familiar with it. You know, to be able to use the custom code aspect because there are some cool stuff that I wanted to see if I could implement. And I did it on expo.dev just because you know the interface is right there and everything. I didn't have to download like the V code and all of that stuff. It ended up working out, and I really liked it. So I wanted to like kind of implement it and integrate it on the Draftbit end of things. But what I realized was that the custom component thing was only it only allowed you to, I guess, well, from what I concluded, just importing one custom code. Because there was a whole bunch of components, right? There's like the restaurant list where I created it, I formatted it, I styled it some sort of way, and like you know, I wanted to bring it in to make a whole you know, to make one full app and just run it up. So that's what I was going to do. I was just going to say, okay, I put in all this hours of work. I was just going to copy the codes, paste it in there, create the name, and just make sure everything imported correctly. But I couldn't do that on a Draftbit, and I was able to get some of it done by like, you know, I realized that some of the components I could actually do with the no code component. It's the same thing. You're just not coding. But there was still some aspect of it that I still wanted to import that I wasn't able to. So I was just trying to ask, like, uh, I saw some sort of confusing thing in the community thing too about like all you could export the code in one code and then re-import it, which didn't make sense. So yeah, but that was my question. It's just kind of like, how can I get that? I guess you know, expo field where I could, let's say, create a folder and then put a you know a JS script in that folder and then call it um, um, in a in a custom code, basically. Um, is my question.
Go ahead, Rahul, if you got something.
Sure. So basically, our custom code component
Mm-hmm.
is like think of it as a file, and you can write as many functions there as you want, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not restricted to just one function.
Okay.
So whatever functions that you're putting into separate files,
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, we allow you to just put them all in that one file in custom code. So whatever you're declaring in different files, you can just copy each one of it and just paste it in your custom code component section, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
just use that, and so you don't have to actually like import anything from your other files.
Oh,
uh, so that's one way to go about it. And if there's anything particular, like we kind of avoid doing custom code in office hours,
right, of
but if
course.
there's something that you're really stuck on, we can
Mm-hmm.
like devote 5 minutes and try to figure that out live right now if you want.
No, not really. I think I could. I was just well, the part that I didn't really get was just whenever I created the component, I'm like, okay, you know, cool, whatever. Then I go on to the next page and I try to create like or a different screen. I try to create a different custom code. It's like I'm editing the code that I was already using. So I was just, I guess that's where I was trying to make sure like it's only one component, and if I wanted to use it in that screen, I will have to use that one same component, go all the way down, and then create a new, I guess, a new code section basically, and then it just a bit confused. It was a little bit more clear on the expo, but like you know, where it's like you know it's separate. You could tell it only bring this, bring that, and then with you know Draftbit, it's like one big page, and you have to do whatever, which I didn't really get. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I got some of it because once again, you can still do the no code part and just but. That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. But I've been reading the docs a lot more, kind of getting familiar with it.
Well, like
uh,
Rahul said, you've
Hmm.
got you can put all that stuff. Right now, we just provide a single file. So
Right.
every app that you have has a single components file, and
Hmm.
that's the file that you pull up when you're editing your custom. When you go to the custom components thing in your app,
Yeah.
like no matter where you pull it up, you're pulling
Right.
up that same one file. But like what Rahul was saying is you know, traditionally, yes, you would like extract these things into their own files and like have component files. We don't
Right.
offer that right now. So you can
Okay.
still put it all in one file, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
you can achieve the same thing. Yes, like depending on what you're doing, it might get long or whatever, but you can still achieve the same effect. Like you're just not pulling in a bunch of packages from different files. You've got it all in one file, right? And if
Hmm.
you need like um, different variations of a component, then you could, you can make another, copy your code, change the component how you need it, and then use that instance somewhere else.
I guess the part that like confused me was because like obviously I'm a beginner, so like the way that I see it is like just like the way I understand it, and then like
Sure.
just crunching on the letter into that one file just kind of threw me off a little bit, but I got it as time went on. I was like playing around with it and just kind of doing that. So I was just thinking like, okay, if you could just specify a file path or something, there was something in the back end I was missing. Because last time you guys made things clear that I was clearly missing, and like I was able to get over it. So I was just trying to just pitch that out there to see if there was something I was missing. But yeah, I was still able to get it to work. At least half of it, I'm still working on it. So if I am stuck, Thursday is there. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? So
Yes.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm gonna hop right in and let you guys know, hey, I'm having a problem. But apart from that, I'm good. Thank you guys.
Awesome, great to hear. Thanks.
Perfect.
All right, no problem. Take it easy, guys.
Yep, you too.
All right, you too. So, yeah, and just to that point, I just wanted to add that for everyone else here is that so our custom code component is accessible on all your screens, right? Our custom functions, whereas are bound on the screens that you declare them on. So that's like where we kind of separate these things from each other. So any function, a custom function that you define on one screen lives on that screen itself, and a custom code component, whereas since it's its own file, you can call it on any of your screens. So that's what there's a slight distinction between custom code components and custom functions.
Very good point. Thank you. Yep. All right. Well, it's still just us. Did you want to show the swiper data stuff?
Yeah, sure. I can show that too. Let me share my screen. Just do window. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
And I kind of created that here, but I will recreate that in front of everyone. Again, I'll just.
You might want to zoom in.
Oh yes, yeah. Let me just move it to this screen here. Does that make it better?
Yeah.
All right. You might not be able to see me, but I'll try to show that here because that's more important. So, perfect. So just so that, let me just summarize this, what we have done and how it was before. So before we had a swiper component that we used to, which you could use with static images without any code. But when you wanted to show data from your backend, we had to use some code to do that. And we had this tutorial on our tutorial section and people were using that. And we noticed that it was quite useful for our users. So what we did was we made it to work without any code. So that's what I want to display here. So that tutorial, you won't need it anymore because you can do it without code in Draftbit now. So what I'm doing here is basically on this screen, if you see these images, I want to show them in my swiper without using any custom code. So that's what we are trying to do. So I have a fetch component which will fetch my data from my backend. I'm getting these 10 list items, and I want to show these images as well. One more thing, swiper component doesn't really restrict you to showing images. You can basically show anything in the swiper component itself. So you can add a view, you can add text, and you can add basically whatever you would want to add to a view in itself. So under fetch, I will add my swiper right here. And then if you now notice, obviously you can design the swiper like the way you want it to. All the other properties are somewhat similar, like you can change the active dot color, light dot color to your liking. And this is something, the new thing that we added is swiper item data. So over here, all I need to do is select my top level response. So now my swiper has data and it knows what it needs to show on the screen. The next thing we want to add is a swiper item. So swiper is like the parent container, which has the dots and everything. Swiper items is what goes inside it, which you swipe. So in the swiper item, I can add a view. It's not necessary, but added a view, and then I can add an image component and maybe a text. I haven't done this before. Let's do it together. So added a text. So I want to show the person's picture and their name here. So I can go to image, go to data, use the handlebar notation to get the drop down menu. So we do this. This is a common pattern that we do every time. And if you notice, it's already showing me these 10 values here, the 10 items that I'm fetching, and I just need to map them to the correct endpoint, I mean the correct field. So I got the image URL, and in the text, I'll do the same thing to show the name of the person. I can add person, and there you go. So no custom code needed. All you need to do, oh, I probably need to change it and navigate to lang copy, and I can kind of preview it now. So there you go. So you can see the swiper component working with your backend data without the need of custom code. So thank you to all our engineers in Draftbit who got this working. And obviously I can, if you see it's like on the left, you can do the styling from here, make it centered. So now this image is centered. And basically you can design a lot of things in the swiper component. It doesn't necessarily need to be images. You can have like different app screens, your onboarding screens, or whatever you want to do. Now the swiper component works with data. Hopefully that was helpful. And I hope our community uses this now instead of the code way of doing it. So that's what I wanted to highlight and showcase.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you. That's cool. Very cool. All right. You said communities pretty we got outstanding stuff here or what?
Let's take a look.
Chatbot with Draftbit. Yeah, I was unclear. I guess I should have asked like whether he's wanting to incorporate a chat bit into his app or whether he's like wanting to make his app I don't know.
So
Chat
I
bot.
have answered this question on Intercom because she asked that question on Intercom as well. So basically, you should be, but that is something that you design on your backend, right? So if you have API calls, if you have set up the chatbot functionality in your backend, you should be able to do it in your front end as well through the API endpoints that we provide.
You know, Dialogflow used to have a iframe embed that you could use. I bet you could if they still had that, you could like just use a web view in your app and use that. Worth checking out.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
All right, well, looks like Rashid, dude, if you got anything else before we go, I think we're probably going to wrap up here in a minute. So anything else on your plate? You've got dedicated support. It's pretty Pretty handy. Okay, he says, not that I can think of right now. Cool, man. Well, you know where we're at, so hit us up in community or wherever. Thank you for being there. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else for you, Rahul, George? Anything? Going once, going twice? All right. Everybody enjoy your Tuesday, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday. Thursday is George at 1 p.m. Be there, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
All right. See ya. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone.